welcome to the crack one. So we moved on to day 2 of the TVR. Today we have a plan. I've started some stuff, just done that one. Yeah, so we got, hopefully we should be able to get all those bits done today. Also done a chassis bolt diagram. So going front to back, you got 2 under the radiator, 2 in the front of the footwell, 3 in the middle of the footwell, 2 in the back, well, not the footwell, behind the seats, 1 in the front of the rear wheel arch, obviously both sides, and 2 underneath the fuel tank in the boot. I think that's all of them. If there's any more, we'll add them to the diagram. So, try and do this in a vaguely logical way. Probably next is exhaust Y piece off, then start motor, then manifolds, and then we'll move on to the chassis bolts then. Probably, I did have a go at I got half of one manifold bolts off. There's one that's a bit finicky. So I couldn't find a whiteboard marker, so I just taped a piece of paper to the whiteboard. Yeah, so I'm going to plough on now and see what we can get ticked off. Right, so we've got the Y piece off. They're just 10s on these band clamps. They were quite rusted on. I had to break the rust seal on these. I've just bolted them back onto the manifolds. I'm going to trace the wiring for these lambda sensors back to a plug, and then raise it up, take start motor off, and see if I can get these manifolds off then. Oh, there's cats in there, or something. You can't see in that one. Typically I left my torch not on charge, it's just gone flat. So I'm not rushing to do the underneath bits yet. This needs to come off because it's bolted to the body. I might do that now. Anything left in there? No, well, yeah, there is quite a bit in there. Alright, we'll empty that out. Get that unbolted from the inner wing. Like I say, trace these cables to the lambda sensors, and then we'll have a bash on these manifolds, I think. Right, so we're under the car. Starter motor's there. It is 6mm Allen key bolts. We've got one main power which goes through a fuse and then goes up into the engine bay. The incoming power goes back up over the gearbox there, round the other side, and then goes to where the battery is in the footwell on the passenger side. I've also got one connection which goes to the pressure switch, another connection, I can't see what that one is yet. I'm going to start clipping these off in a minute. I'm going to disconnect the fuse from the plate so it leaves it as one piece. Then we'll get the Allen key, the starter motor out of the way, and then the manifolds you can just about see. I've got some of the bolts out of that one. Right, plod on. Oh, there's some earths on that stud there. I have to remember them. Okay, so we're finally making some progress. For some reason these front bolts are not welded to the chassis, in which case you've got to have one hand down inside the footwell and one underneath, which is impossible. So I've cut all the front bolts off. This side's all out. I've got to drop it now, clean the threads off, and like WD-40 stuffed them. So they can all come out, and body bolts out, and also I got all the bottom bolts out the manifolds, apart from that one there, which you need to move the manifold out a bit to get out, and the same that one there. I couldn't get this fuse off, so I've just took the wire off it. Still going to take a long time. Don't think the body's going to come off today, but if I can get everything, if I can do everything else on the list bar the body, be happy. Right, we're making some progress. So that is the cable to the rear speed sensor. So we just unplugged that and tied that up. That's the other end of the rear speed sensor. That's the cable that goes to the fuel pump that goes out the boot, which I assume has been wired round because one runs to the front. Goes right the way along and it goes up into the ECU area. So I've just cut that all off. Then we've got, coming up the transmission tunnel, there is the switch for the handbrake, which we can now see where the handbrake switch is not working because it's pushed up the side of the, hang on, where is it? Oh, it's there. It's pushed up the side of the bracket on the handbrake cable. So that's where it looks like the handbrake's on all the time. And reversing switch is this one. They both come straight down at the transmission tunnel. Great. I need to cut all these cable ties to release this main 12 volt power. Other than that, all the chassis mount bolts, chassis to body bolts are out, bar the front two underneath the radiator, and oh, there's 4 more which I just remembered about. I'll show you them when I got it down off. I'll show you them when I got down off the lift. I've drained the clutch slave cylinder or system, so that's sorted. I'm getting dangerously close to engine bay wiring, and final 2 body bolts. Yeah, the extra body bolts are the seat belts which go into the chassis. That one there goes that way, and that one there goes that way. So we'll get them out, and yeah, then we're into, where did the other tubes from the, we might have to split that fuel line there because that goes into the boot, and then this one is, I don't know what that one is. I've got to split that one there as well. So we'll do that now, so don't forget. Yeah, rear section's done then. Everything's disconnected for the body to come off, and then we'll move into this engine bay area, which is only an oil pressure switch. Don't know what that one is. Yeah, okay. So we're making decent progress. It's a lot slower than I hoped. So what's the next step? Oh, that manifold's off, I just got to pull it out. So yeah, I think it's engine bay wiring, which involves taking the wipers off, cowl off, playing them off, and then we'll start labelling and unplugging stuff, and then the brake pipe connections to the inner wing. Seatbelt, yeah, okay. I've started a little wiring diagram. So that just details where they've got to run, really, and where they come from. Try and fill in the front bit part a bit when I get into the engine bay wiring. I don't think there's going to be that much, and they all look like dedicated plugs to me, but I think I will label them and make my life a bit easier. YouTube, please don't trigger copyright claim, the music's on in the evening next door. Right, next bit. Now we're getting somewhere. So plenum's off, bonnet cable's disconnected, throttle cable's disconnected. There's one plug that goes to the front of the plenum, one that goes to the back of the plenum. Now we've got to get into this stuff. Also realised I've got to take the heater hoses off. Ooh, that is looking quite melty there. Have a look at that. Yeah, I reckon another half hour we should have everything disconnected off the engine. I want to do some labelling, obviously. But a lot of it is not, like all these injector wires are to length. So as long as I've got it on the right bank, we should be alright on those. Again, that's going to fall pretty much. Why that's got a bolt blanking off, don't know. There was a connector on the plenum chamber that didn't have anything on it. Let's try not to worry about that too much. So yeah, what I need to do is label wires like this one, which comes up here, and then basically start stripping the loom back out. I might take these breather tubes off, just so I can see what I'm doing a bit more. Yeah, so I'm just going to label everything I can on the wiring now. And once that's off, got that expansion tank off. Disconnect these breather tubes, which I presume are vacuum. That one's the throttle cable, so that can stay with the body now. Tube's can stay with the body now. That I assume is if you've got air conditioning, which we haven't. There's a connector. I don't know where that goes. Oh, it'll be a crank sensor, I would have thought. And then onto those brake pipe connections. And then we're not far off our list for the day. Then, tentatively, do we try and take the body off? See, I'd like to get some movement today if I could. Perhaps. We'll come back. We're getting somewhere with the engine bay wiring. Basically on this left hand loom, you've got the extension cable that goes to the lambda sensor. 1, 2, 3, 4 injectors. Grey plug is the fuel rail pressure sensor. Brown plug goes to that temperature sensor there. And there's also one single cable which goes down underneath the distributor, connects to something there. So yeah, that's this left hand, oh, and then that's the MAF. So that's this left hand setup gone. We now need to disconnect the heater tubes, disconnect the fuel lines, disconnect the brake pipes, and then see if we can work out where this goes. Oh, that's right, okay, that goes to the expander, so I'm on the wrong side then. Oh no, I didn't draw that in, that's okay. Yeah, so now we're going to work backwards. If that's the distributor, might be able to leave this on and just disconnect it at the coil. I don't know what is that? Anyway, we're plodding away. Disconnect more stuff. And we're back, y'all. Now we're getting somewhere. So all those brake pipes there, disconnected from the body. Heater hoses are off. Front body mounts are out. Mount bolts should go here. But remember, there's a big earthing point on this one with two massive earths, which I think is the lights and horns and stuff on the front. I need to go underneath, right, one bolt sheared, which is going to be a problem, which is the seat bolt on this side, and it's sheared almost flush. So the body needs to come off this bolt, that's going to be in the way. So what I'm going to do is cut it from underneath and repair the body later. So I assume there's a metal, must be a metal insert. Where's my torch gone? Yeah. Anyway, there's a metal insert, so I'm just going to cut it from underneath. Then that's off. So that's all body mount bolts are off now. We've got to go underneath, disconnect the oil pressure switch, possibly oil level, but I don't think it's got oil level. And a bit more engine wiring that comes from underneath and then comes forward and up. And I have to go back through the list. But stuff like this, I just mounted on the that mounted then. Oh, beige leather's great with greasy hands. It looks like it's sort of pop riveted somehow. I think what we'll do is put clean gloves on and take the knob off. Does that come off? Yes, it does. Perhaps. Yeah, there we go. So we'll leave. That'll slide. Take that off as well. No, don't know what that is. That'll just slide up and off now, so we don't have to mess about with that. The handbrake. I need to disconnect the handbrake cable so the lever can come right the way up, so it's straight, and then it can drop through the body. I think we're at the stage. Oh, don't want that there. Where it's going to be. Oh, and I forgot this bit. No, that bit. And even the guy on the he wrote a guide rather than doing a video. He said when you take the body off, it will make some horrendously horrible noises, and you will have forgotten at least 5 wires. So that's my target. If I forget less than 5 wires, I figure I'm doing alright. We can always fix wires. We can always fix. Oh, that's a good design. If you fold the mirror in, it's the body. We can always fix wires. We can always fix fiberglass. So I'm too concerned. There's a bit more engine wiring, but like I say, I think there's a bit underneath. So we'll get it back up in the air, cut this bolt, this seatbelt bolt, disconnect the last of the. I'd like to see it move off the chassis, even if it's only an inch today. That'll be a nice. I'll be happy with that. So it's getting a bit late, still light, because we'll see it's not middle of winter now. Starting to get to the point I need to pull them spark plug. Oh no, I don't. Do I? Probably need to pull them spark plug leads off so they don't snap on the way past. And then, yeah, by the last of the wiring, we're getting towards rocking. So this is our seatbelt problem, bolt I was having problems with. See, the bolt comes through the body into the chassis there. I've only got a 4.5 inch angle grinder, which I couldn't, even with a brand new blade, I couldn't get right the way up in there. So what I've done is notched the chassis so the body of the angle grinder will go up in there and just hit the last bit with a chisel, and that's gone now. So that is the last of the body mounts, and now I have to. Oh, that is it. Okay. Alright, that's the wire that comes from the top, which goes onto the fusible link. So we've got pressure switch. Basically, I've got to cut all these cable ties so I can feed the wiring upwards. And this is okay to just go straight up. That's okay to just go straight up. There's a big earth there, which I'll try and get off and leave this one attached to the chassis. And actually no, I don't need to get that off because the engine's staying on the chassis. I do need to get this off at some point because this part is going to be replaced. Ah, steering shaft, I forgot about that. So yeah, we need to get that off as well. Yeah, actually quite a bit more than I was thinking. Bugger. Alright, so that's most of our connections done. Oil pressure switch seems to go forward on our little wire. Well, it goes forward on that little wire and upwards on this wire somehow. So we've got to get the loom up this side. That just goes forward into the front cavity. And So I've took those earths off that stud at the back there, that one. Unless there's something drastic that I've missed, which is entirely possible, we should be just about there. Oh, and these supposed bolts in the transmission tunnel. Not sure about that. Okay, hopefully we might have movement, possibly. Okay, so the wiring comes across from the driver's side, picks up the distributor, then for some reason is on a really long cable, which then loops and goes back to pick up the coil. And the coil has got one multi-plug and black and white switch going to the coil. Positive is the black, white, and then this module is separate, I think. Oh, where's that come from? Oh, that's come off there. Okay. So yeah, black is positive, white is negative. Then I should be able to feed this loom through. There's still one earth point on the other side I can't find yet. These are all up out the way. I'm going to tape these together. That's all loose. That's the part that's going to take a bit of feeding when the body's coming off. Yeah. I would say we're getting to the point of no return, but we passed that quite a few days ago. Oh, fuck off. How is there still water in it? I think I might take this connection off, because otherwise that overhangs the body and it's not too bad actually. I'll just do that. Then even more water will come up. Shit. Ah, that's better. Hook that under there. Right, disconnect this, feed them across, come up against the next problem. Right, this engine is going to be a nightmare to rewire. See that bolt there? That picks up the earth strap from the chassis, which goes onto here, and also a loop of earth go up into the loom. I've forgotten about the steering shaft, which I've got the nut out of, but it doesn't seem very keen to move at the moment. It's also rusted to crap. So, and that one's already covered in oil and stuff. But I haven't got, there isn't move room. That's the only place it can come, so it can come forward. And then this can come out the way. So, you can see how much crap is. No, focus on that bit. Is in there, in the splines. So I don't think that's going to be fun. That could be our limiting factor for today. But I'm going to soak it in WD or AC90 and see if we can get that off. That's me done for one night. This is pretty much what I've got it to move about 1/2 inch. I need to slide this universal joint off. I've got it split with a slitting chisel. And it's absolutely dripping in WD-40, so I'm going to leave that overnight, let that sort itself out. Other than that, all the engine bay electrics are undone. Need to put that torch on charge. We haven't done too bad, but it's still a mess on our list. So the only thing we haven't done is steering column. All the chassis bolts are out. So yeah, we'll take that as a pretty successful day. Afternoon, probably about, it's 8:30 now. Yeah, probably about 8 hours really. Of just plugging away at disconnecting this and that. So, I'm not working tomorrow now. So, I don't see any reason why this can't come off tomorrow. So that might be, episode 3, the big day. But yeah, that's me done for a night. Thank you for watching. Hope I've kept you vaguely entertained, or at least not annoyed. Please like, comment, subscribe, all the normal stuff. And I will catch you on the next one. See you later.